Shannon with the Fantasy Knockout Fantasy Football Show. Today is Friday, August 11th. You can follow the show on social media at Fantasy Knockout. Make sure to subscribe whatever platform you're watching or listening on. Let's get that goal, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm excited for today's show. We're going to be talking about running back rankings. Real quick, have you guys signed up to become a Knockout member? If you do, during the draft season, which we're right in the midst of it, you'll get access to overall rankings, the draft cheat sheets. Then also you will also have you'll have access in the regular season to flex rankings, the trade chart, priority questions and answers. So go ahead and do that. Head over to the website fantasyknockout.com and sign up there. If you're interested in joining the listener league, go ahead and visit the website as well. Get your entry in there, and let's talk about the latest NFL news.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the news.
News with views. All right, running back Kareem Hunt, who's a free agent, he is visiting with the Saints and the Colts. There were reports that the Saints were signing him before he went to visit with the Colts, and then, the reports came out said he's visiting Colts. He left both places with no contract, so the Saints make sense because they're with Alvin Kamara's suspension, and then Kendre Miller still recovering from his knee injury. Makes sense why they need to add a depth piece there. The Colts with the Jonathan Taylor situation going on, and then their backup broke their forearm. Who was it? Zach Moss, I believe. So let's get into the next bit of news is running back Jonathan Taylor from Indianapolis. So the head coach, Shane Steichen, remains unsure when Taylor, with his ankle injury right now, he's still recovering from that, will resume practicing. There's just a lot going on right now with the Taylor situation. Not sure if he's holding out. He wants a new contract, wanted to be traded. The owner said that he needs to just basically, quote, shut up and play. So hopefully everything can work out. We'll talk about Taylor later in today's show. Spoiler alert. Then running back Marlon Mack from Arizona, he suffers a torn Achilles tendon. He just signed with Arizona a couple days ago. Dude just can't catch a break. And then tight end George Kittle from the Niners, he's going to be sidelined for about a week. So he's dealing with an abductor strain, and I'm pretty confident that he'll be ready to go come week 1 for the regular season.
Main event.
All right, the main event, running back rankings. I'm going to go over my top 10 in depth, and then we'll hit the 11 through 25. When I'm talking about scoring settings, we're talking about half PPR, just so that you guys understand. So number 1 is going to be Christian McCaffrey from the San Francisco 49ers. He was back to his old ways, ending the season with 5 top 10 running back finishes in his final 6 games. This isn't rocket science, guys. When CMC is on the field, he's been elite. Since 2019, in games McCaffrey played at least 40% of the snaps, he's averaging 22.6 fantasy points per game and is a top 12 running back 80% of the time. That, my friends, is called a competitive advantage, which makes him one of the few pure cheat codes in the game. When you mix in Kyle Shanahan's play calling and the efficiency of the 49ers offense, it's clear CMC is worth the 101 pick again this year. Number 2, Austin Ekeler of the Los Angeles Chargers. So with 38 total touchdowns over the last 2 seasons, he's been a force for the Chargers, especially inside the red zone. Over the last 2 seasons, Ekeler he has more red zone touchdowns than Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb combined. So entering a contract year, there was some offseason chatter that he may be moved during the draft, but the team made it clear he's still their guy. New offensive coordinator Kellen Moore brings even more dynamic play calling, giving Ekeler arguably the highest floor among fantasy running backs. He's worth a top 5 pick in my opinion. All right, number 3, Nick Chubb of the Cleveland Browns. So perhaps we forget how dominant Chubb was last year at the beginning of the year as the RB1 from weeks 1 through 8. He tailed off along with the rest of the Browns offense once Deshaun Watson took over. Regardless, he's arguably the best pure runner in the NFL. He leads the NFL in 10 plus and 15 plus yards over the last 2 years. and the efficiency has been with him his entire 5 years in the NFL. The backfield is completely his own, with only Jerome Ford and Demetric Felton on the roster. Who? Exactly. He's a locked-in RB1 this year. Number 4, Derrick Henry, the Yeti, out of Tennessee. Henry was once again the centerpiece in Tennessee, producing 39.6% of the team's yards and touchdowns last year. He was finally a part of the Titans' passing attack, which he led all running backs in yards per reception and yards per route run. He's still elite, but keep in mind that Tennessee's window of opportunity is starting to close with Tannehill and Henry in contract years. If the Titans can stay in the playoff hunt, Henry has the dream fantasy playoff setup with Houston, Seattle at Houston against some of the league's worst run defenses. Number 5, Bijan Robinson, the rookie out of Atlanta. One of the most talented running backs to come into the NFL in a while. Bijan is all the rage in fantasy football this year. His production at Texas was off the charts, and the draft capital spent by the Falcons with the 8th overall pick says he will be given every opportunity to be a high-usage running back on a run-first team. It's the stuff that fantasy football dreams are kind of made of. He's worthy of a first late-round pick, and the hype is real. Number 6, Sequon Barkley of the New York Giants. The Giants leaned heavily on Barkley, getting him the ball 352 times last season, the same number of touches he saw when he finished as the RB2 in 2018. The workload was insane, with the fourth most carries, 6th most targets among running backs, and the 3rd most expected fantasy points at the position. He is the main engine of the New York Giants offense, but the draft cost is much higher this year than it was last year. As a first-round pick, you need Saquon to remain healthy, continue to see that elite usage, and hit double-digit tight ends to pay off. Why I have him now at my RB6. Number 7, Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders. So Jacobs was one of the best values at the running back position last year, slipping into the late 4th round as like an RB21, I think is where he was. Mainly due to the mixed signals the Raiders were giving off after not picking up his 5th-year option. So from week 9 on, Jacobs was the RB1, which doesn't include 2 running back 1 finishes earlier in the year. After the Raiders franchised him this offseason, he returns as a strong top 10 running back candidate yet again, if he decides to play week 1. Fantasy drafters need to be monitoring the news closely. After Jacobs and the Raiders couldn't work out a long-term deal, the running back reportedly is holding out during training camp. So for now, it's wait-and-see mode on the 2022 rushing leader. Number 8, Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys. So Pollard did his thing in 2022, averaging basically 1 fantasy point per touch, thanks to the 6th most touchdowns and the 3rd most 15-plus yard runs. His explosiveness finally caused Jerry Jones to get a reality check on Ezekiel Elliott that was just indeed that he's done. The team franchised Pollard, bringing him back as the exclusive lead running back in an offense that swears it wants to run the ball every single play. Last year was, in fact, Mike McCarthy's most run-heavy year of his coaching career, but don't tell the duo of McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer what they should do. So Pollard is a top 10 fantasy running back, in my opinion, although he's won more on efficiency than sheer volume in his career. Number 9 is Rhamondre Stevenson of the New England Patriots. So Rhamondre, he seized hold of the Patriots backfield last year, and he never let it go. Among running backs, he saw the 3rd most targets, the 4th most receptions, and evaded the 3rd most tackles. He was a revelation as a late-round running back, and the RB8 from week 3 on. But in the playoffs, they were not so kind to him, with 3 finishes outside the top 40 to end the year. He is the lone bright spot for fantasy in the Patriots offense, and he should finish as a RB1 this year. Number 10, Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts. So Taylor is in a contract with a new coaching staff and a rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Generally, rushing quarterbacks lower the ceiling of their running back teammates, but I still view Taylor as a first-round pick and an anchor for fantasy teams. Only 24 years old, he's a true elite talent with long speed to break big plays and his ideal NFL frame to grind out 100-plus yard games. He's got it. I don't want to draft him at his ceiling. This is why I have him lower than most as my RB10. All right, now the rest of the running backs, we're going to go through 11 through 20, and then I'll go through 21 through 25 in a minute. So, started off, number 11 is Joe Mixon of the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 12, Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. 13 is Miles Sanders of the Carolina Panthers. 14 is Breece Hall of the New York Jets. 15 is Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers. Don't sleep on him this year. He's going to be a value. 16, Jahmyr Gibbs from the Detroit Lions. 17, James Conner from Arizona. 18, Travis Etienne from Jacksonville. I am a little bit lower on him. I don't think they're going to use him as much as they did last year, so I'm a little lower than most this year. 19 is J.K. Dobbins from Baltimore, and 20 is Kenneth Walker out of Seattle. All right, the next set of group, 21 through 25. So we have at 21 is Alexander Mattison from Minnesota. 22 is Cam Akers from the Rams. 23 is David Montgomery out of Detroit. 24 is Rachaad White from Tampa Bay. And 25 is Antonio Gibson from Washington. If you want to check out, or if I didn't mention guys that maybe you think should be in there, check out the rest of my rankings at fantasyknockout.com. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for listening to the show. The next show we have is the wide receiver rankings. I want to say thank you for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe, whatever platform you're on. Please leave that rating and review. It really helps me out. All right. Till next time. See ya.